Hey everybody, Ryan from True Grit Strength here. So this video is video number 2 of a 5-part series that I'm doing called the Max Results series, where I go over the top 5 reasons why you might not be making progress towards your health and fitness goals. So in this series, I'm kind of going into detail on some of the areas that you might be struggling with and areas to look into if you feel like you've been working really hard towards your health and fitness goals, but you're not really seeing the results that you want. So the number one thing that I'm addressing in almost every single one of these videos, because it's super important, is the idea that if you have very specific body goals, like you want to lose a certain amount of weight, you want a certain waist size, you want to add a certain level of lean muscle mass to your frame, you want to improve your strength gains by a certain amount, those are all very specific goals. And I think one misstep that people have sometimes is thinking that they can have specific goals but kind of train generally. And the truth is if you have specific goals, you need a specific plan. So my hope is in this part of this video series that we're diving into some of these main topics, that one of these things might stand out to you so that you can be like, yes, that's me. Okay, I know I've been neglecting that area. Maybe that's where I need to look to improve my training habits and to really get into more detail in terms of this subject matter so that I can start making progress towards my goals again. So in video 1, if you missed that, I covered how the number one reason why I feel like people are not making progress is that they're not being consistent. So if you missed that video and that feels like something that might be true for you, pause this and go back to that video and start there, because that's a huge topic. People not realizing that they're actually not being as consistent in their training as they think they, or with their nutrition that they think they are. So in this video, we're going to dive into nutrition. So nutrition obviously is another huge area that is often overlooked, and people are not really wanting to dive into that as a possible reason why you might not be seeing some of the body changes that you're looking for. But it can be a huge area that could give you a lot of benefit if you do feel like you're in that boat. So one of the biggest mistakes that I see in terms of nutrition with my clients, but also myself, like I've totally been here, is the idea of thinking that you can train really hard and not really pay attention to your food because you're working out so much. So thinking basically that you can out-train a bad diet. We're hoping for, I think when we think that and go through that thought process, and I can put myself back to where I was when I first started, is I was thinking that, okay, I'm burning all these calories in the gym, and then I'm eating like some healthy stuff, some not so healthy stuff, but it's all going to balance out, right? Because I must just be burning an insane amount of calories. And we can hope for that, but that might not always be the case. So if you're one of those people who's saying, I'm working so hard, why am I not losing weight? There's a lot of other factors, and that's what I'm covering in these video series, but one of the things could be your nutrition. And most of the time, that's usually what that is, because if you're working out consistently and you're working out hard, meaning you're training at the right level of intensity, and you're still not losing weight, it's probably that you're eating too much. And I know no one wants to hear that, but that's really the truth, is if that weight on the scale is not going down, diet is probably the number one place that you should really dig into and start looking at. If you're new to fitness, I think that's a very common kind of place to fall into, of thinking like, okay, I'm working out now, so I can, that's enough, and I can still, continue my regular eating habits. And that's true for some people, and again, if it's just general fitness that you're going for, and you feel like, you're trying to make trade-offs with yourself, and being active is what you want to focus on right now, and you're not really ready to tackle the nutrition side of things, that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Baby steps, everybody's got their own process. In this video series, what we're covering is people who have been working really hard for a while and are trying and have stopped seeing results, and they're getting frustrated, and they're maybe on the verge of stopping everything that they're doing because they're not getting the results that they want. And with those types of people who have very specific ideas of what they want their body to look like, nutrition is a huge part of it, because training is going to influence the way that your body looks. Obviously, if I'm lifting weights, you're generally going to usually put on, especially if you're a beginner, you're generally going to put on some lean muscle mass, and that's great. But diet is really going to be the thing that determines what your body composition is. So if you're looking at, I need to lose a certain amount of weight, or I'm trying to put on a certain level of muscle mass, we're really now starting to play around with the ratio of body fat to lean muscle mass and what that ratio looks like. And yes, training influences it, but diet is really the thing that is going to determine what that is. So again, I made this mistake when I first started of thinking that I was working out and I could kind of get away with all this like poor diet choices. And yeah, like I did, but I, after months and months of training, like I didn't look any different. And, I feel like most people's motivation especially when they first get started, is they're wanting to improve their physique. So if you're working and putting in all the consistency and work in the gym, but then you're not seeing any results and your body doesn't look any different, that can be really frustrating. So I'm hoping with this video, I can kind of highlight why nutrition plays such a huge aspect of that, and what are some things that we can do so that you can start improving that area of your training. So again, specific body goals require specific plans, and the only way nutrition plans, and the only way that we can know where we stand with that is to track our food. And I'm not saying that, tracking your food is the only way to lose weight or the only way to gain muscle. It's definitely not for everybody, but here's the example that I love to use because it just makes a lot of sense to me. The analogy that I like to use is thinking about it in terms of like money in a bank account. Okay, so in the bank account example, think about as if you never checked your bank account. Okay, you have no idea how much money's in there, how rich you are, how poor you are, what bills have been taken out, how much you're spending. You're just kind of like going and you're spending and you're swiping your debit card over and over and over again. You're like, I feel like I got money in there, or like this doesn't cost that much, and you just keep going, having no idea how much money is actually left in the bank account. And then one day you wake up or you go to swipe the card and it gets declined. And then you go to check your bank account and you're like, oh shit, I have no money. I'm broke now. Okay, so that's like a harsh analogy, but it's the same thing as tracking food. If you're just like going and you're eating and you're eating and you're eating and you have no idea how many calories are in the things that you're eating, how many calories you are burning every day, how many calories you have left out of what you're allotted, and then, before you know it, it gets out of control. And you have no idea where you stand until, maybe you realize that you're overweight or you're underweight or you're not on track to where you want to be. So it's kind of just like expecting to be able to go and kind of eat whatever we want and not really understand how those calories or what those calories are made up of fits into the grand scheme of how many calories we're burning every day. And what we're allotting those calories to in terms of food is the same thing as kind of just like, never budgeting your money or never tracking any of your spending and kind of just hoping that you have money in that account. So that's the easiest breakdown that I can think of in terms of like calories in, calories out, because we all have a number of calories that we're allotted every single day, whether that's a macro calorie target that you've set or whether that's just, everybody's body burns a certain amount of calories a day. Okay, so if you're looking to lose weight, you need to be under that number. And if you're looking to gain weight, you need to be over that number. But the point is that if you don't track it, you don't know where you stand. And so when somebody's struggling with nutrition and they don't understand why they're not losing weight, that's usually my number one go-to exercise, is to at least track it for a few days just to get a general idea of where you are. It could be that maybe you eat very healthy, but then, whatever, that pint of ice cream that you're eating at night is like the one thing that's like throwing you over your fat goals or your calorie goals for the day by a lot. And you actually like, oh, I don't even really care about that. If that's what's going to keep me from my goals, like forget it. Like I'll lose that pound of ice cream. It doesn't matter that much. Because I think when we start tracking our food and we start paying attention to those choices and we actually start looking at that ratio of how much protein are we eating, how many carbs am I actually eating, how fatty is my diet actually, we really, even within the first 3 days of people tracking macros, have some like huge revelations about their diet choices. So it's not that you have to do it forever, but at least do it for a week or two so that you kind of understand where you're at. And in most people's experience, and this is also mine as well, the first 2 weeks that I was tracking my macros and weighing my food, I was not eating enough food at all. Like, so I was eating way under, and that might sound like a good thing if you're like trying to lose weight, but it's actually really bad for your metabolism. So again, it's really dependent on your goals. So how do we know what improvements that we need to make if we don't know what we're currently doing right now? So the balance of when we're looking at changing body composition and really seeing a difference in our physique, the balance between protein, carbs, and fat is really important. We need to make sure that we're getting enough protein because that's what's going to build lean muscle tissue and help us recover from our workouts. And then the balance of carbs and fat can depend on, your metabolism and where you're at, and if you know that that you can tolerate carbs well. But again, you can't just make assumptions about these things until you kind of know where you stand. So I really can't emphasize that enough. So action steps for how to move forward. So if you feel like, you have been paying attention to your workouts, but maybe letting your nutrition slip, here's some action steps that you can take to try and start focusing on this a little bit more so that hopefully you get back on the right track and you start seeing some progress and you kind of get that information that you need from tracking your food so that okay, this is an area of focus now. Like, I need to focus on getting more protein, or I need to focus on eating more calories. So by tracking your food, it'll highlight these areas that you need to start paying attention to, and then that hopefully will kickstart your progress again. Just hit pause for a minute and think about, like, what areas can I improve in? So do you know that if you do currently follow a diet, but you're just not super consistent with it, how can you be more consistent with it? One of the mistakes that I often make and have seen other people make as well is thinking that I can be really good and nail Monday through Friday and then blow it all on the weekend. If you're not making progress and you're eating healthy Monday through Friday and then you're blowing it on Saturday and Sunday, well, what you're doing on the weekends could be the thing that's preventing you from actually seeing progress. So maybe you're creating a deficit Monday through Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday you're all blowing it back so that it all evens out and nothing changes. So that could possibly be it. So if you're one of those people who just kind of, just wings it on the weekend and doesn't really pay attention to things, that's definitely a place that I would look into. Another thing is, are you drinking too much? Again, this is not saying that you can't drink on a diet plan and see results, but again, that's an area of inventory, an honest inventory that you might need to take. If you're binge drinking a lot and you're partying a lot, but you're consistent in your workouts and you're eating really healthy, that probably would be a flag for me to look at. Like, how can I cut back on drinking? Maybe that's the thing that's holding me back. There's a lot of things that be going on, but really look at your routine and see where some areas of improvement are that you can make. The thing about this too is that you're looking at areas that you might have to sacrifice. So again, in the beginning, when I first started tracking my nutrition, I was like, okay, Monday through Friday, I'm on it. And then Saturday and Sunday, I just need to let loose and I need to let it all go because I can't be that rigid. And, if that's really how you feel about things, and maybe that's the thing that's holding you back, but you're not really willing to sacrifice it, that's okay. But, if you are, sometimes you have to sacrifice things that you don't want to make significant progress. Completely transforming your body is not an easy thing to do, right? If it was super easy and all we had to do was eat healthy a couple times a week and cut carbs down a little bit and work out a couple times, and we would all be super lean and jacked, we would see a lot more people right now who are super fit. But it's really difficult, and it's transformations like this don't come easy, and they often require a lot of sacrifices. And so just think about it. What things are you willing to sacrifice to transform your body, and then try to work those things into your schedule. All right, so I hope this was helpful and covered some topics of nutrition and areas to look into if you feel like nutrition is the thing that could possibly be keeping you from reaching your goals. If it's not, take a look at day 1 where we talked about consistency, and then stay tuned tomorrow for video number 3 where I go into a completely different topic of taking a look at your workouts and how not doing the right workouts for your body and for your body goals could also be holding you back from seeing progress. All right, so stay tuned. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow in video number 3. Have a great day.